Hello everyone, it's Friday night and it is time for the Weekender once more. We have another jam-packed show for you this week, taking in all the hobby goodness from across the tabletop industry. We have fantastic fantasy with Parabellum and Corvus Belli. We also have some spectacular Firefight coming from Mantic Games, as well as the most amazing news from Wargames Atlantic with their very tiny Samurai. More on that later on, but first we have a competition prize from store.ontabletop.com. 2 First Blood starter sets for Conquest, a Dweghom and 100 Kingdoms, in case you and a friend fancy starting into the Living World campaign, The Crucible of Wills. This will get you started off with everything you need for the fantasy skirmish game. To be in with a chance to win, come over to OnTableTop.com, pop a comment below this video there, and sit back and relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined by Ben and Justin. Hello. To talk all things hobby.
Yeah.
Everything hobby. It's going to be
returned from the wilderness.
Put your feet up. There'll be a lot of hobby being talked. So, Ben, did you have a nice time off?
I did. It was really nice. I may have got engaged. In fact, I did get engaged. Yeah.
Congrats, well done. Look at you, like a real person.
Yeah.
I thought about being a real person once. It was no fun.
And I really hoped that I was going to be going away. And I mean, the most important thing, obviously, was reading the Five for Victory rulebook. But it didn't show up until the day after I'd left. So I didn't get to do that, unfortunately. So I read the Blood Red Skies rulebook instead.
If it's any help, my Five for Victory rules showed up, I think, before yours. Despite being in a foreign country. So well done, me.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more Five for Victory soon. We may talk Five for Victory extensively in the XLBS on Sunday. Who can say? Ooh. Can you feel it? Fancy. But we're not going all World War II for you right now, though. We are going to dive into the most important part of the week, which is always the indie of the week. And this week, it's
a mystery.
Yedharo. That may or may not be how it's pronounced.
Gesundheit?
Because it is Spanish, I believe.
Okay.
But they do have an extensive range of things in the world of STLs. We all know how much I love the ones and zeros. So I'm specifically looking at their website, which contains physical models. And by Christ, they have some amazing stuff. Instead, we'll stick with Christ and we'll get right into their models.
Okay.
Because they have in here some biblical models. Lucifer, David, and Goliath. And I will say, these are done for 30 mil and are absolutely gorgeous. Lucifer particularly is really nice. Now, these are all listed as injected plastic from a silicon mold, which says one thing to me. It says CO cast.
Yeah, that probably.
So they do
sense.
STLs, and then they must make regular molds, and then CO cast them up. There's the big. Trying to remember, Philistine. That's Goliath.
Yes,
memory
he was
serves.
a Philistine, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
That is a much more ripped David than I ever saw in any of the illustrations when I was a child.
That's because you've not been reading the right books.
That's true.
I like the idea of him being this absolute monster. He's properly ogre-sized compared to
built like half Thor Bjornsson.
Compared to little David there. Although David does look like classical Italian Renaissance art. He does. You know, yes. He has all the abs. The nice thing about this is they do show the actual printed versions.
Oh.
And they do this for all of the miniatures. These ones may have actually been resin. I'm not entirely certain, but you can certainly see with some of the fantasy stuff we'll take a look at in a little while that it's noticeably that grey Seocasty look. So it gives you a good idea. Although I have found these on the likes of the Etsy's and stuff like that, where people are obviously selling 3D prints from the STLs. So at least you know the quality is there, and it's been produced by many people. Lots of people have been using the prints and like to fill their boots. So there's a wee Lloyd shot of what rippling Goliath's back would look like, and a bunch of heads. So well done him. Yeah. Well done that man. So yes, David and Goliath, nice. I don't know how much use you're going to get out of David, but Goliath obviously is nailed on for anything that you want to use a Greek fantasy feel for.
Of gods and mortals, perhaps?
That type of thing. Good. If you're looking to insert some sort of giant into your gaming, you can obviously do that. Ooh. And if you do that horrible ones and zeros thing, you could go and get the STL and actually print them at a much greater size and actually go full giant in hoplite style armor.
A Goliath of Goliath scale.
Yes. However,
you did there.
Lucifer. Sweet, sweet baby Satan.
Our Lord and Master. Flavor.
There are some amazing... obviously, a lot of this is aimed at artists and painters, collectors, as much as actual gamers. Yeah. But I have to say, the Lucifer model is just a thing of absolute gorgeousness. I particularly like the double wings, which I'm fairly certain I've seen in artwork somewhere.
But it kind of goes back to that, the sort of multiple eyeballs.
Yes, angels with you can tell what they are, whether they're seraphim or cherubim or seats or powers of principalities based on the amount of wings and eyes.
Plays really nicely into that kind of story of the fall kind of thing. So you've got his angelic wings, but then his demonic wings are ascendant. So you've got that kind of storytelling element to it as well, which is very nice.
But the fact that the actual person part of it itself is just so classically handsome is really interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, he's a pretty boy. Mm-hmm. As we learned from Viggo Mortensen. I was the first angel, beloved, before all others, a perfect love. But like all true love, one day it withered on the vine.
And so begins the musical episode of The Weekender. Every show has one. So
that is true, like Buffy. So yes, there are little painter collector pieces. There's several busts of Lucifer as well, which are really nice. But we're not here for that. We're here for the wargamey bits, aren't we, really? And
yeah, boy.
And if I was to click on here and then just go, what one would you like to see first there, Ben?
Dwarves. Thank you. Yes, please.
Really? Dwarves, you say?
I thought you were going to pick Emma.
We're all very surprised that you would go dwarves. So let's have a look at the Zodiac War. So it's not based like I thought on the Zodiac Killer from Dirty Harry. In fact, what it's based on is the Zodiac. There are forces, and each force is themed to one of the Zodiac sort of animals. So you've got Cancer, you've got Leo the Lion, you've got Pisces, you've got Sagittarius, which means you can put together these whole armies of distinctly themed
that is such a cool idea.
Mm-hmm. So if we just we'll throw up Taurus there, because he's
is that your sign?
We'll have Leo going alongside.
I was going to say we could all pick our
our
Zodiac sign, but I'm not sure
unfortunately Dinosaur's not there. Which, I mean, it's as real as any of the other Zodiacs.
You just imagine Jerry, on a clear night, laying in the hayfield, drawing his dinosaur constellation.
Yeah,
the night sky.
Absolutely love the look of Tauros as well.
Yeah,
he's a brutal thing, and the wind seems to be coming behind him.
Minotaur boys.
They are terrific sculpts, I have to say that.
Mm-hmm. These are so nice.
Beautiful looking fellow. And then the big cat, Leo.
Yes.
Are there specific ones you want me to look for, by the way, while I'm in here?
Aries, please.
Aries. they have a certain style. There's a chunkiness to the arms, which you'll see in the orcs as well, which has a very Warcraft feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like big,
I was going
thick,
to say,
Popeye-like
especially with
arms.
the big bulky weapons as well, is definitely up there.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. And the big flowing like power ballad hair.
So what am I looking for?
Works very
Ares.
nicely.
Where does Ares live in here? There we go. There's the ram.
Mm-hmm.
And the Capricorn
Libra.
as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both goatee-like things.
Oh, very nice.
That is cool. Oh, I love the idea of doing something Mythic Battles styly with this.
Mhm.
So you have these being your leaders, and then you have like a selection of thematic troops in like 28 mil, so slightly smaller than these.
What was that amazing film? The one that won all the Oscars with Jared Butler,
Oh,
where they were Egyptian gods. Was it just called Gods of Egypt?
Gods
Was
of
that
Egypt. Yeah.
it? Yeah, there you go. It's more or less what was happening there.
Yeah.
Was
But
it Gods of Egypt or was it another one? There was
I
two
think
basic
probably.
came out at the same time,
Really?
didn't they?
And they were
Yeah.
both awesome. They were both utterly
What was it?
spectacular.
Wrath of the Titans was the other, was it?
Oh, Wrath of the Titans is the older one with Sam something or other in it. Yeah.
Mm.
Goats.
Oh, so good.
They are really nice. But I'll bow to public opinion and show you some dwarves, I suppose.
Can we just quickly look at Libra? Because that's my.
Oh, man. We can.
Also, because normally Libra is like the
Actually,
most boring one. It's like, oh, the scales of justice. Yeah. But
I mean, I'll just grab it in here then. Since you asked so nicely. Don't worry, it's in the background. So dwarves, they are an eclectic mix of stuff.
Yeah, it seems to be of multiple lineages.
Has a touch of the Tamarkan, the last book that GW did with the Chaos Dwarves, had a lot of bull centaurs and stuff in it that this sort of has a feel about. There's
I'm liking
there's your scales of
That
justice.
is a very interesting weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, just think of a pull on with two chain
Yeah.
sickles.
Very
I
nice.
suppose, on the end.
Love it. Very cool. Doing Libra
Really
justice.
Oh,
Anyway.
Ben, why?
I mean,
I'm
that
back,
bull
baby.
centaur. Absolutely
that is very
stonking.
nice, though.
Hmm.
Like proper full-on bull centaurs for use in your games.
Yeah.
Very nice. Especially with the rumors that Chaos Dwarves are going to be coming back to Age of Sigmar very, very soon. So you've got some nice options here that'll be
Really?
probably cheaper. So, yeah.
So we
That
have
would be
a
interesting.
tactical assault centaur.
And tactical about that, you'll just have all of yous.
My tactic is I run you over.
Yes.
Hmm.
The tactic is forward.
Throw up
Oh,
some
these are
of
really
the,
nice.
Some lovely bits there.
that's your
So
sort
you
of
get a big bundle of them.
full collection, if you will, that you can probably get
Mhm.
from the likes of My Mini Factory. But look at that for a dwarf mounted on goat. Has a similar style to Blue Giant,
Yes. Yeah, very
which
true.
is nice.
Mhm.
Where they're not just a pair of feet stuck straight onto somebody's backside.
Mhm.
There are limbs in between, which is always good to see, I feel.
These dwarves have knees.
These dwarves have knees, and these slayers have
Oh, mightiness.
attitude. I think that's the word I'm
Yeah.
looking for. Slayers with attitude.
The horns behind the back is very Warcrafty as well.
Yeah.
Very
Bit on
horde.
rock.
There's a
You
nice
get-
dynamism to them.
There is, yeah. And even if you've got the ones that are standing stock still, because of the movement of the hair and cloaks and stuff, that really feeds
Yeah.
into it, which is good.
Although this
Everybody's
one in
blowing
particular,
somewhere.
when one axe is not enough.
It's in case you miss with the first blade, there's two more that you'll
Yeah.
probably carry through with.
First blade to open the armor, and then the second blade to go through the under armor, and then the third blade gets your skin. So,
You call it
yeah.
the can opener.
The can opener, yes.
It's
The
delightful
Tama
looking.
can opener.
Hey!
Armored dwarves.
Nice
Big
little
ram.
wall.
Face shields. Very cool.
Yes, the massive
These-
Scutum looking thing as well. I mean, they are full on, you're not getting past us, will absolutely leather you.
Yeah. Those would make fantastic Kings of War armies.
Oh, yeah. Abyssal Dwarf options, yeah. Or something
I do them as straight up dwarves.
You just do them as
nothing abyssal about these, mate.
Well, depends how you paint them, I guess. Give them red skin. Demonic, baby.
Nice set of berserkers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could be troll slayers, could be berserkers. It's up to you.
That fellow on the one side pointing up at his quarry. I like that.
Boy, I'll have you.
I assume he's pointing to the position on that massive Goliath giant that your opponent's fielding about where he's clicking.
So he's calling his shot.
Leather. Yep.
Yeah.
He's going to Babe Ruth his tackle straight into next week. So yes, dwarves.
Lovely.
Some
Very
really
nice
nice heroes in there as well. But we'll probably have to have a look at some of the dwarves' opponents, shall we say.
Of course.
Look at him, though.
Glorious.
He is. Bit on the bigger side, so probably better for some sort of skirmish games if you're going to be picking up these as physicals. Although I reckon I could still get him on the 20mm base, just with his cloak hanging off the edge.
Probably, yeah.
Although you imagine him just rocking into a tavern screaming, "I am here to drink all your ale."
That shows, I mean, you can see the component pieces, so legs and then upper torso and arm seem to be the sort of the split points on it.
Yeah. There's some insane tiny details on this as well, like the scroll work on the cloak.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Gorgeous.
To be fascinating to see how they pan out when they're all done and dusted. I will go to the orcs. These are truly Warcraft.
Get some green skins in there. Yeah. Ooh.
Yes. Oh, indeed.
I immediately saw a dragon. So
it's a hell of a dragon, and very reminiscent of Rackham's style of dragon head as well, with the big horn at the end of the snout.
Yeah.
But look, a dragon fit for a multi or mass battle game where you can put it onto a base and you can rank it up against its target because it's not 15 feet deep and with wings overhanging. There's a lot to be said for compact dragons' bodies. I don't think they get enough credit.
Gameable pieces when it comes to monsters is very handy. So
I really like the look of him as well on his back.
Interesting armor design on the orc.
Yes, we'll see more of that on some of the others.
Thankfully, Lloyd's not here because he still hits the plinths.
Yeah, that is literally a plinth, though. Let me just kill some of these for my own personal amusement so I can see where I'm going. So, let's bring up some of the units then. We'll have those. We'll have the big cats. We'll have the savage orc on massive thing. The savage orcs on massive things are cool. So this is the female warband. As I said, very strong Warcraft vibes.
Yes, very much so.
Won't be the only time I say that in this episode. I'm telling you that now for nothing. But they have a very nice savage tribal feel to them. Makes you wonder why nobody has ever tried a Warcraft tabletop game without doing those terrible WizKids pre-paints.
I mean, didn't Fantasy Flight have like a big box game?
They had a board game.
Yeah, like years and years ago.
That's such a distinctive IP that so many people like. It's already nailed on. All the work's done.
You know, maybe Blizzard thinks wargamers are smelly. Doesn't want to work with us.
Most of them are wargamers.
This is fair.
Those are really nice sets. I like the designs of those as well. Really cool big cats. Nice poses.
Yeah.
Very noble looking as well, which is good.
And then the ramshackle armor sort of cobbled together.
That's how orcs should look.
Mm.
Don't care what anyone else says. It should be scrap armor on an orc.
They've hammered together themselves in the back of a tent somewhere. Yeah.
Light cav mounted on hyenas.
Oh.
I love the one on the left. Looks like she's just ready to bounce off into the middle of some poor, unfortunate, unsuspecting unit. Heavy, chunky.
These are just screaming Kings of War army to me constantly.
Aren't they though?
Yeah. Especially as I think you could probably get away with doing them as just regular orcs. Then what was the other one?
Rift
Was
Forged.
it like the Rift Forged as well? Yeah, I think you could get away with doing that too. Because you've got quite a few interesting mounted troops and sort of heavily armored fellows in that side of things, haven't you? So
with them being so big, certainly from what I'm looking at here, sort of hand-wise, he's a warlord of some description, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking at that going, well, that's an ogre warlord on chariot, because he will fill a 50 by 100 mil base. And if you think how big those orcs are, and you've got small groups of 5-6 models, you only need 6 for a horde. You have a really individualized looking ogre army.
That would be a really good choice. Yeah.
That, and I know you're not a fan of the ones and zeros, Jerry, but if you are 3D printing them, you can upscale, downscale a little bit to make them work just right, and then pump out as many as you want for your army.
That's true.
You would be the worst person in the world though if you did it.
Here is the ultimate cheesy ogre list. I 3D printed it myself.
It's not the fact it would be cheesy, it's the fact it would be 3D printed. But look at those.
Lovely.
I mean, they do look like they're sitting on probably 40 mils there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, they are hefty.
As far as a big stocky unit of things coming at you goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're definitely away of it. Leaving the north
really nice
side,
to them.
Have a quick look at some demons. Because demons are always fun, and we've already seen one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's favourite.
Buku Banana Pants crazy as he went with this.
Banana Pants
Demon
Crazy.
Queen.
I don't know what Banana Pants Crazy is. But again,
man, I always love swords or blades that have screaming faces in them. It is so inherently chaos. It's great.
But it also has a very Warcraft feel still, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Bit
With
Lilith as well from Diablo.
Touch of the Rackham. Yeah.
So, yeah.
You can see they're not afraid to go a bit off-piste when it comes to stylings.
Mm-hmm.
Kill that. Show me the female
demons.
Lesser
demons.
Oh, very far away.
Yikes.
If only we could see you up close. Let's make that happen. I would like to see the female demon up close, please. Champion, yes.
And those are the famous last words of Jerry.
I would like to book a face-to-face with the lesser demons, please.
Eyeless.
Super cool.
Creepy. Big bucketload of sticks.
Mm-hmm. I'm also really getting the vibe from these that you could do kind of that mix, that blend of sci fantasy stuff. So have like the whole Doomslayer vibe, Doom guy vibe, and have them coming up against him or something. I think that'd be kind of cool. Doing something a little bit different with them. I think it'd be quite nice. But yeah, very cool. Oh, that's a good sword.
It's bizarre, baffling. The shield is almost as brutal as the sword is.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a take on Valkyria almost from the old Chaos. Well, I think she still exists in regular Warhammer. I
dimly remember her being absolute filth and everybody fielding her in the tournament lists at one stage. I do remember that, but not much beyond it. Say goodbye to those. We'll have a quick look at the goblins. Goblin.
Yay. I wanted to see the little snotlings.
I do love a good goblin.
Notlings.
Let me see that shaman.
So these are very
It's nice that they
Pathfindery.
Yeah. It's nice that they do like a good mix of both male and female minis as well. So you can have a very nice varied warband.
Mm-hmm.
I also think these would actually probably fit quite nicely with some of the epic encounters stuff.
Yes.
And they're around that kind of scale, like 30-32. So
they are chunkier.
Work quite nicely. Yeah.
They look absolutely vicious.
Yes. They will take your kneecaps off and enjoy doing it.
Scratch your eyes out.
Oh, that's
I
nice.
love that.
I somehow quite like the vibe that he doesn't realize that he's summoned that manifestation. And he's always a moment from death.
Yeah. Yes, I will summon my gigantic demon beastie to eat oops.
Yes.
He's coming for you, Barbara.
Either that or he actually floats around in that, and that's kind of like his days almost, that he sort of hovers around in this like swirling vortex of strange doom. Yeah.
Or it's
pretty reasonably priced
demon that's manifesting thinking it's getting the world's strongest host, and it's just like, wait, crap, I didn't order a goblin.
What bargain have I made? No.
Yeah, as far as pricing goes for physical, it's not bad at all.
Yeah,
they have very extended jaws remind me of the Shield Wolf orcs.
Yes.
As well.
Reminds me of the old Gremlins movie. Just in the face with the big flappy ears.
Yeah.
So,
I know what you mean about the Shield Wolf stuff, though, actually. Like, that vibe is very in keeping with their
very
plastic kits, where you can still get your hands on. So,
yeah. Oh, yes, very much so. So, humans. I've seen some interesting humans on their doohickey, so maybe they'll come along at some point. Because you've only really got a couple.
It's just the
basic
start of their plastic stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Seercasty. But
the basic troop is still quite tasty nonetheless. Because they have a really nice fantasy look, and most of them are wearing Sally helms, and I'm an absolute slut for Sally helms. It's just how I go.
They are some of the coolest helms. I will agree. So gorgeous, lovely stuff. Rank up very nicely as well. Yeah. Oh, I like the kind of
Paladin
eyeless helm as well.
It's almost a little bit Dark Soulsy.
It is.
He's got vision slits in it.
Has he got little slits? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes, he does.
Yeah, he can see. You can fill those in if you wanted.
I would. I think
pat it on your thumb and just scrape it across. Bush. Either way. And then the female paladin as well.
Great stuff.
Again, touch of the rackham about that outfit as well.
There is. Yeah.
Which,
the form
I have absolutely no problem with at all. There is only dwarves in their fantasy football. I know you're gutted, Ben. Absolutely gutted. Try and hold it in, mate. But these are really nice. And I'm absolutely positive I will find a use for this fantasy football big roller. In
like the classic death roller. Yeah.
In any other game, I will find a use for that. Because that's just
kids.
That's a big chunker.
It is. Would fit quite nicely with the Titanforge range.
Yeah.
They're sort of iron dwarves as well. Quite a good fit. If you potentially have some of those sitting around. So very good.
You two can get your hands on some drunk dwarves, which are
a
rarity, I'm told.
They're so regularly sober.
Have I been misinformed about the drunk dwarves and their rarity?
It's like the whole thing with Vikings. Everyone thinks there's, raiders and pillagers. Actually, just very good traders.
The fire at that monastery was just happenstance. They just happened to be there.
Yeah. That book fell in the fire.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
And then the monk fell on the fire. I mean...
the monks were coming on vacation. The Vikings were really nice to give them a lift.
Yes. Yeah.
Desperate. Absolutely desperate. Didn't look at Emma. We'll very quickly look at Emma. Just because it's a really nice figure to paint. The
Ooh la la?
Yeah. It's just a nice 1970s lady sitting on a Vespa.
A little bit of kind of femme fatale vibe, potentially, maybe. Very cool. Yeah.
Very
lady
nice.
in the red dress.
Could be. Don't look at her. Because then an agent will shoot you in the face.
An agent will pop up behind you, yeah.
100%. So yeah,
Very
interesting range of stuff. So we might look at them at some point for the ones and zeros. I'll let somebody else examine that because the range they have in there is extensive and
so there is even
larger
more?
than what's here, including things like the Zodiac is a much expansive range in there.
Oh, nice.
So interesting, but for people like myself who just want to get their hands on actual physical prints, Yedharo is probably the way to go.
Really, really good.
Good shout.
Thank you. I do my best. Shall we take a look at some news?
Coming to you from the center of northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
Okay then, so the first bit of news we have this week comes courtesy of Parabellum and Conquest.
Ooh.
They've been showing off some new bits and pieces for the Sorcerer Kings, and it's an absolute massive beast.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I did there? For it is a Mahout and other additional friends. However, once you've got a Mahout on your side, you don't really need anything else, it has to be said. So, the Mahout is... Anybody who knows elephants knows the Mahout is generally the little fella who sits on the back with the spike ready to brain the elephant if it rampages. In this case, the Mahout is a living alabaster or porcelain construct.
Yes.
In this case, a veritable Taj Mahal of walking elephant goodness coming your way. And this is absolutely stonking.
Gorgeous.
The sheer detail on this one is incredible. I was looking at this and I'm going, you know what would be interesting? Marble. Lovely marble. Like a nice rose marble maybe or something like that on your Mahout as it creeps around the place. Just for something a bit different.
Oh, maybe a jade marble could look good.
Ooh.
Could be.
Yeah, go down like the precious stone route and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be tempted to find out what marbles are close to India. Because they're obviously, they have them.
Comments down below. The marbles of India. Tell us.
Yeah. Which would be...
You do realize no one's just going to put up a picture of a bag of marbles, Ben?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Well, as is their want in life. The Mahout is a heavy monster, as you may be unsurprised to hear. However, it's not just about rampaging and slapping people down, although it can do that because it has 10 attacks. It's got 20 wounds. It is a brute, an absolute brute, and can do trample. As well as a whole host of other, sort of attacks. So it gets into combat, it stamps on people, then it does its regular attacks. It ignores incoming wounds from either hardened, which just reduces the cleave damage it takes, or from oblivious. So normally when you lose a combat, you take wounds for every point you fail the morale check by. It takes wounds for every 2 points it fails morale checks by.
Oh.
And it has 20 wounds to start with.
So this is a good tar pit unit.
Effective 40.
It's a great tar pit unit. However, it also has a ranged attack. So you can see on the back there, people with bows. There are alternative options on there, but it has 10 20-inch ranged barrage attack. So it's like a unit by itself, as well as for just shooting. A nice little ranged unit. So it walks up the battlefield, pinging shots at people, and then when it gets close enough, it just absolutely wrecks face by hammering through them all. There is also the Favorite of Hormuth character upgrade, which I think is a Maharaj rather than a Sorcerer, but I've not been able to find out exactly where they sit in there. But it's an absolute beautiful piece of resin to go on top of that Howdah for the Mahout instead. And I mean, just the
very
details
much
on
the
that are
lounging
stunning.
despot.
Yes. I loved the lore behind the Mahout and the Favored, because there was the thing of like the Mahouts are all made based on the Sorcerer King's favorite elephant, but he's made so many of them and created so many Favored of Hormus that it's almost lost its
meaning,
prestige, and it's lost its so all these like new Favored that come in are like, oh great, an elephant.
So it's like today becoming a TikTok influencer.
Yes.
Yes. Which is good to say.
Good.
Yeah. Not the only new thing. You kind of sneakily seen them on top of the Mahout already. There they are there. You can just see the very limbs on the bottom. There's also a regiment of Danor disciples coming as well, which is another ranged unit. And, you know, it's a solid ranged unit. They're nothing spectacular to write home about. However, they do have arcing fire. So if you've given them the aimed shot in their activation, so they haven't moved, they can perform a volley action up and over enemy units.
Blot out the
which
sun.
It's a good way of doing it. You can get right in there and absolutely ream your opponent. I think that's the most pleasant way I can put it.
I like the one of the things they put in there is that it's quite nice to have something for your sorcerers or your spellcasters anyway, just to sit in that aren't melee units, because this is one of the first infantry based mortal ranged units.
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously you had the like flame throwing ghouls and stuff, but this is nice to have for your mortal armies, to have like a sorcerer sit there rather than having to go forward with the Rajakar and stuff like that. I think it's quite a nice little bonus. And I love the posing for them. I think that's a really nice way of demonstrating how they work in battle through their design, which I think is a really cool touch.
And they've got Barrage 5, and again, that 20-inch range. So each one of those stands will get 5 dice. If they do sit still and do arcing fire, you can really reach out and touch somebody, at which point then they're going to have to decide, are they going to come closer to your line? I mean, in my head, all I see is a Mahout and a unit of these side by side, because then you're putting out 25 barrage shots onto a unit at 20-inch range, and then they either have to come towards you, at which point the Mahout is charging, or they just stay back and just suffer.
Yeah. Pinned to the deck by arrows and then trampled.
It's a great way of doing it, and more power to them. Long may it last. They were not alone, however, in coming up for pre-orders. There's also some for the Old Dominion. So the Centaur, Kerakes, and Prodomorai. So these are absolutely insane constructs, once again from the Old Dominion, showing why Haslia and the Old Dominion really need to be dealt with sooner rather than later. They work like medium cav, both types, and you have a melee and a ranged version of both. So the Prodomorai are the melee version here, which come with, you know, a decent cleave and impact on the charge. More importantly, they are animated vessels and they're terrifying. So it's once again, it's more undead craziness coming from the Old Dominion as they come towards you. Yeah, everybody loves it until they have to face it, and then less fun there. They also get a ton of impact hits as well when they go in, from memory of old. And then the ranged version, the Kerakes, have got a decent barrage of 3, but only out to 16 inches, so a bit more up close and personal. However, they do have armor piercing, and they also have deadly shot. So if you roll any field defenses against them on a 6, as Conquest works low is better. So if your opponent's rolling defense and rolls 6s, they essentially critically fail and suffer 2 wounds instead of 1.
Mm-hmm.
So they may not have the dice output somebody like the Disciples that we've just looked at do, but they have a potential to do a lot more damage because you've got a less armor save, and then that potential double dipping on the wounds as well. And again, if people get up close and personal, they'll suffer for it, because it doesn't matter whether they're archers or not. When they're undead constructs raised by Hazlius priests, they will make you cry in your boots. So they're all
I really
coming.
liked the I was going to say I really like the design of those because it kind of gives off that slightly more Byzantine vibe to them.
Yes.
But also fits with that idea of, obviously the Old Dominion has that kind of Roman vibe to them as well. And these give off that auxiliary feel. So it's the kind of other side of things that's been drawn into the Legion to fight alongside them. So it was a really nice little touch, I thought. Very good.
It's that the sort of the outskirts of the Empire having a slightly different aesthetic to the core legionnaires and Praetorians that you may see fielded with the Old Dominion. So up for pre-order and on their way soon. You can get them from store.ontabletop.com.
You can.
There is no merch. That's the way that one goes. Speaking of pre-orders and bundles, Ben, some coming from Corvus Belli.
Yeah, so Warcrow is very close. It's on the horizon, and pre-orders will be going up very, very soon from the folks at Corvus Belli, but there's been some teasers out of what's going to be included as part of that bundle. There's going to be, as always with Corvus Belli, a fun little bunch of stuff for you to pick up as part of that kind of launch deal. The bundle itself comes with the Winds from the North battle pack, which is the one that we've looked at before in the Weekender, and you've seen it in the news as well. Comes with the 2 factions ready to play out of the box, the Northern Tribes and the Hegemony of Embasig, alongside the terrain, the rulers, the dice, and everything else you need to just get started with the game and dive in and have some fun with it. The bundle also comes with the full rulebook as well. So obviously the battle pack is your kind of introduction, but then if you want to dive deeper into the game, you'll need the rulebook to sort of like expand on that. And get involved with more mechanics and stuff.
I will say there's not tons and tons more mechanics in the rulebook.
No.
You can download the rules currently.
You can. Available free for PDF.
Yeah. And that PDF gives you an idea of what's in that book because the rules are about 30 to 40 pages. However, the numbers on those go from like 330 to 360 or whatever it is. So the prior 300 odd pages is all backstory, maps, lore,
building up
artwork.
The lore.
That's what that big tome is. It's absolutely brimming full of world building, which is
all of your flavor.
Banking.
Learning about the different factions and everything in the world as well, which is always good.
Yes.
The pre-order bundle also comes with the exclusive miniature for that pre-order period as well, which is the Alwat Ice Bear, who is one of the Varank, who are the shapeshifters. And obviously, Alwat is one of those commanders who has been able to sort of master his bestial side as he turns, and is a little bit more of a commander for you to throw into your northern tribes, Northern Alliance side of things as well, which is very cool.
He is absolute filth.
But yes,
he's also got
very cool.
He's got a terrific rule as well, which I'll not tell you about yet because I'm not sure if it's out there in the wild. But just keep your eye out for him. I don't know if this will be available later on as the same miniature or as a regular sculpt or what.
I reckon they'll do a variant for normal release as they do with a lot of their Infinity stuff. So, yeah.
But what I will say is the Northern Tribes are a mix of Varank and Orcs. And there's a fair bit of synergy between these guys.
Oh, so good.
When you're playing around, certain characters and the like will have abilities that also trigger for Varank or allow Varank to move freely. Likewise, Varank characters have things that can buff the Orc side. So you don't really want to be either just playing solely as orcs or solely as the Vrank. They are an alliance and they work best when allied together. So no racism here from the northern tribes. They all blend very nicely.
There's no elves involved. That's why. So.
That's because they're all down here with the Empress. There's one. Yeah. There he is, Frostfire Mage. Oh, you sweet, beautiful man! You'll find out exactly how sweet and beautiful he is. But the
armor style is very, very Spanish.
It is.
I think so.
Yeah, it's got a slight conquistador-y feel to it.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe on it.
Yeah, especially in the helmets.
Because I looked at it, immediately went, and then the Polish winged lancers arrived.
Well, that as well. Yes.
Yeah. Especially the helms, very Polish wing lancers also.
Vibes.
Yeah. I love the Plague Doctor though.
Yeah, the War Surgeon is a really, really good support character for your games. And interestingly, they can be run as individual heroes or they can be dropped into units to buff the units. Nice. So yes, they are absolutely corking models. They're all going to be in Sealcast. In that core set. So
nice.
That box set contains all of those miniatures in Sealcast and then all of the punch card as well and the little mat. But yeah, definite Warcraft feel off those as well. Especially that caster. Yes. That's somebody who needs to be shot. All of these need to be killed.
I don't know, that shoulder, the shoulder pads, they're not big enough.
I am cousin of Gul'dan.
The important thing is soon they'll be dead. Really, the Vrank should be just killing them all off. They look a bit like Draenei. Big blue skin. Can't trust the orcs. Who trusted them once? Look what they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Much more to come.
Chance to play around with some of the stuff recently.
Sneaky.
Yes. So keep your eye out. There's a themed week coming. Where we'll dive into the world and the game in a bit more detail. And I have so many pictures of him on my phone, it's not funny. Because they brought the studio painted version with them.
Oh,
Gary, just like click. Make sure and take as many as I can. I might get a good one.
All of my photos are spot on, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's our eyes that can't see the brilliance.
You've sucky eyes.
Perception is reality.
Whereas I know exactly what that bear is going to be like because I can see the movement and the majesty in him. Whereas you're just having to make do and mend with, dull, static, lifeless images. Not like mine.
Quick Ben, T-pose.
Yeah. So yeah, a couple of weeks' time, sort of mid-July, we'll be bringing you a whole slurry of videos about Warcrow. And you can, like we said, you can already go and have a look at the rules if you fancy seeing a bit more about it. But that battle pack is absolutely stunningly good value because it's crammed full of stuff. And if you like your lore, get the bundle because you'll just get that. That book is just brimming full of stuff. I'm really, really interested to see where Lindworm goes.
Yeah.
From Warcrow Adventures to...
If you want a little bit more of that kind of background stuff, especially based on what came out as part of Warcrow Adventures, Hoopo from Corvus Belli has done has done loads of really good videos over on the Corvus Belli YouTube channel, which are all the whispers of Lindworm. And so you'll get a really good idea of the background, especially for that adventure. And then that's been taken further as well into the actual war game for Warcrow as well, which is nice. So plenty to get stuck into ahead of our content as well.
Yeah. Fancy smancy. Right. Leaving fantasy behind.
What?
I know. It's an outrage, isn't it? But let's go and have a look at what Mantic have got coming for their summer of sci-fi.
Ooh.
Yes. Ooh, indeed. We've already been teased via the medium of the Night Stalkers and the little Maison Labs mischief that went on. The incident.
The event.
The event.
Yeah, that was not a good event. When they decided McKinley drives weren't good enough, let's invite the Night Stalkers into this reality. Utter muppets that they are. Well, the Night Stalkers are not the only new things coming to the Warpath universe. Mantic have got a whole slurry of stuff coming for the Asterians or Asterians, depending on your point of view, and their allies, the Matsudan. And this is going to be coming via the medium of a new 2-player starter set, pitting them against the Night Stalkers in the Edge of Sanity. So it's a big galley bucket load of plastic miniatures
so much
in here.
Stuff.
Do love me some Griblies.
So much. This will pit the Asterians against the Night Stalkers. There are a few bits of resin in here, so the likes of the Cypher Prime and the Shade for the Night Stalkers are resin, but the rest of the stuff is the plastic Butchers, Ravager setup, the plastic Scarecrow / Doppelgangers, and the Reapers, Tormentors are all hard placky. And on the other side, the existing Asterian plastics, which were the marionettes, are being joined by new plastic Ciphers and the plastic Matsudan to really allow you to fill a whole load of, well, technically bots, because the elves don't like to fight. They much prefer to be at the background going,
RC.
yeah, you can do that. We're not going to go out there. But we
it
will
seems
send
a perfectly
some
legitimate way of dealing with warfare in the far future. Why continue to keep fighting and hope your soulstone saves you when you could just send robots to do the fighting?
Robots will do all of the work for you.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then find some giant sumo space lizards.
Exactly.
And they can do it as well.
You just imagine them at the end of the day getting up, going to grab like a microwavable cheeseburger and bitching about their KD ratio.
Yeah. I kind of think of it a little bit, like is it Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where you've got the gold-skinned faction race, whatever, who are like controlling all the spaceships and stuff. That's how I view them.
Yeah. It's not beyond that, to be brutally honest. If you have to fight a war, it's much easier to send one controller down to keep an eye on things, and then let the robots and AI do their job, rather than sending loads of your young youngsters off to die in wars on farm plants.
Have they ever showed off a true Asterian in the range? I can't remember if it's popped up in like.
Oh yeah, no, there's a couple. There's a leader type, and then there's also the Khaleesi, the vicious stabby ones with massive bows. So they are out there. They just like to keep themselves in the background. So the Ciphers are a really nice set of new plastics. They're all alone. Like there's also a set of resin coming for the Black Talons, but I'm really happy to see more plastics because I have the marionettes, and I have a small amount of the old Restic style Ciphers, but being able to get hard plastic ones should be able to give me a bit more flexibility for builds and get stuff onto the battlefield faster. The Black Talons, these are resin models. So if you need to do a bit more damage beyond what a Cypher can normally do, then Black Talons are a good way of doing it. And if you need to get there really quickly, then a couple of Sky Razors and off you go. Off you go, my son. Just get right in there. It's like those staps that the droids had.
The droids.
Phantom Menace, except
episode 1,
except not terrible. If you see one of these things coming towards you, chances are you're about to be dead very, very soon. So that's a shame.
There's no Roger with these.
Yeah, very much so. And the most important thing for me, Matsudan, for anybody else, Matsudan in plastic. So currently, if you want these for the likes of Dead Zone or your Firefight army, then you're having to do it via the medium of resins. These are hard plastic, multi-part with variant heads as well. So I think there's 7 heads on the sprue, if memory serves, which means you can do a lot of variation. There's even in that samurai style mask you have there, there's one that's just got the nose and mouthpiece as the mask, and then the Matsudan head is visible, which is just, I think, really nice way of doing it.
I will say the rest of their faces do give off Amazing Spider-Man, Lizard Man vibes.
I don't know. I was thinking the old Mario Brothers movie, the Goomba.
A little bit, yeah, actually.
It's a horrendous thing to say about anybody. I'm glad Bob Hoskins dead, so he doesn't have to be reminded that
He's
exists.
not a people person.
Terrible,
I can't unsee now.
You're welcome. Everybody online, you're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
So, yeah, if you're after a couple of armies for Firefight, great way of doing it. Obviously, if you're not keen on either of those, then the current 2-player starter sets are still all valid. I like the way Mantic runs them simultaneously, so you can pick and choose between them, or if you just want to pick up the Firefight rules, you can do that as well. Night Stalkers are on the companion app. They are beta. They will remain beta until the books get sort of extended, reprinted, maybe at the end of the year, like the same way they had command protocols last year where they added the lists, an army building for vehicle-based combat. So expect a new command protocols to add the Night Stalkers. However, if you do pick up the Age of Sanity, the full Night Stalker rules for what's in the box is printed in there. But the companion app's free anyway, so if you need to see your list, you can do so there.
I was going to say on the vehicles front, because obviously the Strike Force comes with that large vehicle for the Asterians and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Firefight still works really nicely just infantry if you wanted to keep it at that and then avoid even having to worry about vehicles.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Vehicles are cool.
Ben ain't painting vehicles. Ben ain't doing that.
Vehicles are so limited in Firefight that
good.
If you want to run it totally infantry, you can. And if you want to add in 1 or 2 vehicles, you'll be lucky. I mean, my Forge Fathers just runs 1 tank. Although I do like the fact that command protocols give you the option to run multiple vehicles with troop support rather than the other way around, simply because I bought so many of them.
Yeah.
Even then, I think I can't physically field everything I've bought.
In
my defense, it was bought for Warpath a long time ago. A different age and a different rule set. Times moved on, things have changed, but my vehicles are all still available.
And people have become more reasonable.
Yeah.
He says.
Who knows?
Soldiers remain eternal.
Don't worry. You should see what the Vermin have to go up against them. I believe there is going to be a summer campaign tying into this.
Makes sense.
So I'd keep an eye out for that. I'm already working on what army I'm going to be using. I think it's probably going to be Forge Fathers.
I quite like in a change of style. I quite like those Asterians. I love those robots. Yeah,
because I have the marionettes, and I've been wondering about doing something clever with color flip paints for a while.
Ooh,
for my funky Asterians.
Yeah,
they may get the nod ahead of it.
Do they still have the
going up against Vermin?
The big badass like Walker with the shield leaping forward?
Oh yes, yeah. The I was going to say Spectre.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Oh, I love that one.
It's cracking, especially it's a great resin model.
Dreaming of a
Ben is sold.
Time will tell what ones we pick. Who will know what I get painted? I think we all know deep down none of it. Right. Moving on, let's take a look at some historicals.
So yeah, Wargames Atlantic did a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of a preview this week. Oh, because they're doing something epic, but on a very tiny scale. It's something that people have asked for a very long time, including our very own Lloyd, although I think he's going to be slightly disappointed. in some way, but then excited in another. Because, yes, they are going to be working on their own range of epic scale miniatures for use on the tabletop. It's going to be called their Grand Battle Scale. That is their key that they're using for this one. And it's going to be coming out way sooner than you think.
Yeah.
Are they doing 8-bit miniatures?
Yes. No.
Yes.
they're a little blocky.
Well, just you wait. As you might have garnered from this preview image, if you were canny, the first selection of miniatures that Wargames Atlantic are going to be bringing to the tabletop are their Feudal Japanese range. And, oh, baby, they're going to be working on Ashigaru and Samurai for you to build your tiny little armies on the tabletop. And, oh my God, how good do they look?
And Samurai? Samurai you are!
Somewhere Lloyd is excited, but then he's also going to be
Are these superior Nippon resin?
Yes. Well, no, they're plastic.
They're plastic.
Lovely plastic. And they're going to be in the true scale. They're going to be in 10 mil.
10 mil. Not heroic 10 mil. Not epic wonder bar 10 mil. 10 mil from foot to eye level, like God intended, to match any other ranges that already exist.
Yes. So, as I say, starting out, Ashigaru and Samurai for your Sengoku period stuff. Perfect opportunity. Perfect way for them to start things off, I think, because it's one of those eras and one of those conflicts, periods, where you can pick up one set, maybe two, and just by virtue of how you paint them, what designs you put on their flags, their banners, you can have multiple armies out of one box, effectively. You can cover all the clans, because they all would have been using more or less the same thing anyway. And you can build up a really nice core of a force to use on the tabletop, and they look gorgeous.
Yeah.
They have talked about the sets. So obviously we said they're going to be plastic, which is obviously very nice. Going to be around 328 figures in the set. Obviously this is 10 mil, so it's not like you're going to get 28 mil figures in a box, whatever.
No.
And they're going to be done in an interesting array of different numbers. So you'll get variants in sort of the way that you can build forces and things, but it's all been designed so that it can fit in with the way that most people build their epic armies. Yeah. So yes, we also have
because we hassled Hudson and Charlie at Wargames Atlantic.
Hassled, harangued, berated.
I'm not saying that Hudson was up till 2 a.m. but he was.
He was. Yeah.
And they very kindly sent us these. So I like this. One of the big problems that some people have had with the likes of Warlords epic scale, ignoring the scale, is that they are 10 wide and they don't play on that larger frontage. So they've gone with setups that are 5 wide, 4 wide, 3 wide, and I think there may even be individuals. There are.
Yes.
So no matter what frontage you play, if you already play a epic historic style game, small scale, you should be able to use these in any number. So you can have them 5 or 6 wide, or you can have them 10 wide if you want. There's the flexibility in the amount of miniatures and the computations you can put in there. But here you can see, look at all the wee Sashimonos down the side for your samurai, and then cavalry. So bow, a few casualties as well to decorate your bases. Obviously cav, and then your sort of line infantry with melee weapons, which is again is a mixture of
Naganatas,
Yari, partisans, and obviously katanas in there as well. So people who want to screenshot that and count, you can multiply that up or divide the box number to work out how many sprues you're going to be getting. But those samurai look absolutely gorgeous. And of course,
you always get a good dose of stuff out of them.
You do. Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh.
Even got Teppo in there as well. Teppo in there as well. So your guns.
And more casualties. I really like the fact you put casualties on it. Just for when you're doing your basing. It's absolutely cracking. Look at those.
None that have committed seppuku, though.
Well, they might be in the aftermath of seppuku.
These guys wouldn't. They're not noble enough to.
One of the things I really like about it, and it's something they mentioned about why they went for 10 mil, is that the painting of these should be dead quick. Because if we look at the painted images again, you could bring these to life so quickly. Washes over, sort of a zenith or whatever. Would be perfect.
Even some of your ink paints are going to bring these up a treat.
Yeah. And then just detail things like the weapons, put more effort into the bases, and away you go, really. So, it's gorgeous. Because at that level, the detail bases shrinks down. Well, yes, of course.
Coming with these, because they don't know what game you're going to be using them for.
Yeah.
Who
As the
knows?
same with all the things from board from board games.
There's so many companies out there that do bases these days, though. It's not a big issue.
Well, but yeah, I'm not worried about the bases, but the idea is obviously whatever you're playing may change wildly. Although 40 mil squares, I'm just saying, are what God likes, and you will be judged when you die.
But
Jerry's Bible isn't a book; it's just a stack of HDF.
100% accurate.
So obviously they're showing off the Ashigaru and the Samurai, and they may even be available to pre-order right now. Actually, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. that's how quickly this has come out from a preview and a tease on Tuesday to me going, here lads, what he's doing to
get her done.
Well, they'll probably be up on Friday.
Yeah.
Will they?
That's dangerous because that's payday.
Oh, it's the best.
Well, in addition to what you see here from the Ashigaru and the Samurai, Rob McFarlane, who I believe is the one responsible for this particular Samurai range,
yes,
already working on follow-up kits to this. So I'd imagine we're going to see a bit more for the Samurai to sort of bulk it out, potentially take it in different directions, which is always good. And Duong Theo, who is the other sculptor who works with Wargames Atlantic and does a lot of work already.
He's head of the
already working
studio now. Head of the design studio.
He is. He has fingers in many pies. Many plastic pies. Is already working on the next range of their Grand Battle Scale stuff, which will also include a game launch, interestingly, which is cool.
I wonder if we'll maybe see some Portuguese.
Oh, we might see some enemies for the Samurai to come up to, or we might see an entirely different period and conflict. Because as Jerry was pointing out to me, he was the one who helped design a lot of the Warring States stuff, which is on the horizon in 28 mil. Okay. So maybe we'll see epic Warring States for China, which would be quite nice.
I have to say, now they've swapped from, or not swapped, now they're going to be doing 10 mil alongside 28s. As much interest as I had in the Warring States in 28s, which was fair to middling. You know, it's not an area I know a huge amount about, but I was intrigued. But when you think about it, 10 mil, oh my God, it would make so much more sense to actually have them in, huge hordes, massive states clashing, whole battalions of chariots, doing donuts around the battlefield and little mandarin ducks everywhere.
It also works well with the idea of a range being able to fit multiple armies out of one box, because you have a similarity in arms and armor between all of the different Warring States. In fact, in some cases, pretty much carbon copy between them. So, you've got a really good opportunity there to, again, create that kind of 1-2 box, build 2 armies feel to it, which I think is really good from Wargames Atlantic. So, gorgeous stuff.
The other thing I'm looking forward to with them doing this kind of thing now is like seeing some of these like 10 mil like Japanese feudal villages laid out on tabletops. Look very cool.
The spectacle will be really nice. Yeah, and I think they're also planning to support this with Atlantic Digital as well. I think so. There'll be additional bits and pieces coming up on that front. So
what you might see through that is the likes of your monks. I can't see them doing a plastic sprue for monks,
like Sohi monks and stuff.
Enough Sohi on the battlefield, probably. So having the monks and your peasants, your
command elements, stuff like that,
things like that.
I'd love to see some like the little incidentals there as well.
Yeah. Having things like massive Japanese stone fortress would be a great way of doing it. Because they more so than the village, because I don't really care about the villages.
But you get to burn them without consequence.
No, there were consequences for people who did that. Lots of
the Honor Bageshi would have you for that.
But having the walls, the city walls and stuff for siege games, or even at the back of the board would be much better.
Nice. So you would want to do like a city board like you would have seen out of Shogun?
No. No, I just want the
That'd
walls.
be cool though. But,
No,
Okay.
if I'm going to do a siege, I don't care about the city. If I'm playing 10 mil, I'm playing 10 mil because I want the spectacle of the battle. I honestly
Fair.
don't care about villages and stuff in the background. They can do whatever they want because we'll be somewhere else fighting.
Yeah, so you would do it proper and picking up one field to fight in.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, 100%.
Right.
How else would they know how good my maneuvering is? Or you just have one lone man playing a musical instrument above the gates with the gates open, and that's all you need for your army. And people can comment below as to who that was. Yeah, exciting times. I'm looking forward to see. I mean, I didn't think they would ever do 10s. I didn't think they would stray away from 28 mil at all, to be brutally honest. But now they have.
I feel the weight of the community in their Facebook groups and polls has potentially driven them in this direction, I think. So,
They did ask a couple of times what scales would people prefer and would they do any smaller scales and stuff. And I mean, everybody was chucking in 10s.
apart from Lloyd.
Everybody and all of Jerry's fake accounts to get the extra votes in.
I didn't. I just went smaller scale. Grand. I don't care. I
Fair.
don't care what you're doing. I may even have ticked 6 mil. I'm not sure. Who can say?
Fair.
Yeah. But
Well,
yeah,
double scale.
Yeah.
nice to see them
Very
doing
cool
it,
though.
and interesting to see where they go next.
Yes.
And hopefully they'll like the Samurai. It will be something warring states or something unexpected, something a bit more left field than going, well, here's another Roman force.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, because Wargames Atlantic like to fill in the gaps, don't they? That's one of the things with them. They like to be like, here's things that people don't make. They'll get to the more popular conflicts eventually, but they do it in a more circuitous route, a path less well traveled, and so yes. I'm just saying. If they end up doing any of their fantasy armies in 10 mil, I will be spending my entire paycheck.
Why did we not
We'll
ask?
never financially recover from this.
I'm not even going to. I was about to message Hudson and Charlie, but I'm not because I don't need to know that.
Fantasy question mark?
I don't need to know that. Right.
Fantasy? BB?
Let's bring us a little closer to the modern era then, Justin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the guys at Black Sheep Miniatures are bringing out some new Wild West goodness. So there's more on the horizon, but what they've got for us right now is we have some wonderful Pinkerton agents. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing them armed with all the classic weapons. So rifles, shotguns, 6-shooters, basically anything you can stick a bullet in and fire at your mates. Although I have to wonder, what is with this little dude at the front? He just looks as if he has had enough of the guy on the right, and it's just like, you slept with my wife.
He's eyeing him up.
Now I'm going to shoot you.
You mean Pinkerton Justin?
That
one.
Are you the person who's been going around stealing people's magic cards back from them? Is that what?
Yeah, well, that's what Pinkertons do.
Yeah.
Can't trust them.
Yeah, well, there's the Jerry one up top with the shotgun.
It's not a shotgun, that's a rifle, isn't it? Over and under? Anyway, I digress.
Anyhow, they are lovely. They've also done a set of really nice lawmen as well with the classic dusters on them.
Oh, yeah. Love those.
Yeah, I mean, these are just really wonderful just to have a little extra flavor if you're doing something like some of the Western games that you guys have been playing recently.
Fistful of Lead, Dead Man's Hand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, the last game I saw you and Jerry play was pretty fun with Jerry's hungover bandits.
That was very cool. Lots of shotguns.
It's the only way to go.
Apparently, by the way, I've been accused of baking my dice across multiple videos.
Yeah. I don't know where people got that idea from.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, some of it is just Jerry's horrendous rolling.
Yeah.
But no, so these are quite lovely, and I'm not sure what material they're in, Ben. Do you know?
Metal.
What, sorry?
Metal.
Yes, they are metal, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, yes. Yeah.
Pewter,
sold by war bases as well. So
we've then got some Mexican bandidos on cavalry.
Yeah, so This is they've got 2 sets of the banditos that are coming out as well. They're actually doing 6 sets, so there should be 2 more by the time you see this, probably.
Ooh.
But these ones are mounted on the Wargames Atlantic General Accoutrement horses, and they've been designed for that. So you can get them with or without horses from war bases, depending on what you want. So if you already have horses lying around,
if I already have,
stick them on.
I think you'll find I do.
Well, you'll just have to buy some regular banditos then, and you don't have to worry about the mounts.
I mean, the second set, the guy at the front kind of looks like he should be in a mariachi band.
Santa Panza.
No rifle for you.
Yeah.
Got all the bandoliers.
Come to my concert.
It's
really nice stuff. Out.
See a red sash,
it's good.
Kill the man wearing it.
Yeah. It's good to see that Black Sheep, now they've been freed of the need to do all the admin stuff, can just do the sculpting. So they're just working away on all sorts of different kits, and then they'll just be available through Warbase, who handle all that side of things. And yeah, it's great to see. I think Black Sheep were up from Scotland, I think. So it's great to have them working all the sculpting up there, and then obviously a UK provider as well doing all that stuff. So it's home brewed, which is lovely. Great.
Yeah.
Now, if they're Scottish, it's home brewed.
Home brewed, yeah. Iron brewed.
It's always nice to see more.
Goodbye, Scottish audience. Bye.
More. They were gone a long time ago. It's it is good to see more Western figures coming out, though. Especially, especially things like the Pinkertons and the Lawmen as well, because they're ubiquitous. You can drop them into pretty much any game you want.
Yeah, if you're doing Western, you're going to have them at some point.
Cracking stuff. Who's up next?
Next up,
Justin.
Well, we have some news coming out of War Cradles. So we've got some new stuff coming for the Crown and the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth one kind of has me excited because it's showing a little progression in the timeline. But let's start with the Crown. So we've got a couple of new ships coming out for them. I believe one of them is a Nautilus-esque type of thing. So we've got the Legends of the Crown and Markov's Prometheus. So the Crown one is really lovely because you've got that nice submarine, and I know Jerry will love it because, of course, torpedoes. I hate torpedoes. I absolutely detest torpedoes. And the other big ship is the Galt. So very big, brutal design, just what you would expect out of the Crown. And you're getting a few little escort ships with these as well. Any thoughts, Ben?
Yeah, so the Nautilus is the submarine that's captained by Rani Nimue. Nemo. That's probably the Nemo.
Just
Nemo?
go Nemo.
Nemo.
Just say Nemo.
Nemo. It's based on Nemo. And obviously you've got that really nice squid design, which is very reminiscent of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is always nice as well. But what's quite nice about the Nautilus as a ship is that it's a crown ship, but it was procured by Captain Rani.
Co-opted.
And so now fights as a mercenary vessel. So the Crown have to pay for their own ship to come and fight with them, which I think is quite cool.
Yes, of course. You want me to fight for you, you pay me.
Yeah. And then the HMCS Tilok Galt, as you mentioned, is a big, hefty new ship.
I wasn't even going to try the first name on that one.
And it's kind of an interesting amalgamation of power between the Canadians and the British. So it's got that kind of feel to it, which I think is quite nice. Yeah. Building on that friendship between the two nations. It sort of amplifies that, which I think is quite good. Absolutely festooned with guns, as you can see there as well. And yeah, as you say, Justin comes with the little escorts too, so they can keep an eye out for things and maybe block some of those torpedoes that are flying towards the hull.
Yeah. Now, the other set...
the torpedoes.
Now, the other set has me really excited because it's Markov's Prometheus. So if you remember, whenever the game first came out, that first 2-player starter set, the Prometheus was being stolen from the Enlightened. And now we're seeing it has been brought back to the Commonwealth, been re-outfitted. So you can see it's got that big ice turret up top. And of course, they've had to add some like winged birdies onto it to make it feel like one of theirs.
Yeah, I really like the idea of them pushing forward that narrative, as you say, and building on things and the story and sort of that really nice amalgamation of that covenant of the enlightened tech that so many people covet. Being thrown into the Commonwealth, and then Markov getting to use that, which is really cool. But yeah, really nice design. I again,
Yeah.
really
Well,
nice.
I mean, this was one of the key points in the story where the technology was being stolen and being got out into the world, into the hands of other countries.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've changed the stat line from the Hunt for the Prometheus. Because obviously at that point it was just taken straight from the Enlightened, but now they've had a chance to hang on to it. Have they done anything to change it from that original stat line?
My money's on it just being the weapon profiles, because that seems to be what they've changed out. And then you'll still have like your generator slots and stuff on it.
Yeah. I know Warcradle are quite good about updating their unit cards and Orbats and stuff like that. So if you are interested in working out a little bit more about how these work, they're normally updated fairly regularly, even like at the time of the previews. So they give you a good way of exploring sort of what's changed and what's been updated. I will point out there are some really great creators out there who have been covering a lot of these releases and previews, a lot of them from France, and they've been doing them in both French and English, which is great. So if you are someone who wants to know a little bit more about those, go and check them out. In fact, I'm going to make a note of it. I'm going to put some links down below to those channels so you can go and check it out. Like Love and Wargames and all sorts of people. They're really cool, and they do lots of in-depth stuff, including battle reports and everything. So yes, go and check them out.
Sure, Speed Demon Painting's probably on standby if he hasn't already seen them.
Yep.
Although not French, he's Belgian.
Yes, he is.
Important to make that distinction.
Yeah. Already on the list.
Over here
already on the list.
Right, we have one final bit of news coming from the world of Sigmar.
Yeah. So if you've been living under a rock or you just don't care, time to let you know that the pre-orders for the new launch box for the new edition of the game are available this weekend. Going to be a big 2-week pre-order, but we'll get to those boxes in a second because we've got a couple of additional previews for Warhammer Age of Sigmar and the 2 key factions at launch, the Skaven and the Stormcast Eternals. On the Skaven side of things, we got a look at the Brood Terror, which is a little bit of an alternative take on that kind of abomination style creature that you get for the Skaven. Lore behind this one, classically Skaven. Scryer and Mulder have worked together to create this amalgamation of flesh and machinery. So it's, part rat ogre, part technology. You'll also notice the little tiny gribbly dude hanging on the side of it.
Yeah, he's got a claw.
Yeah, that is the original Master Molder that has been folded into the creation.
Oh dear.
And uses all of its mega brain power to make all the weapons and everything work. So it's a horrible, nasty mix of Skaven technology and brilliance to create that fantastic model as you see there. I think somewhere Thanquol's like, I think Bone Ripper's still better, but
100%.
He's seen many amalgamations anyway, so
I don't know. I mean, the two heads on that are going to argue. The big brute's going to be going run smash. The other one's going no sneak shoot,
flee shoot. Yeah, exactly. I quite like the model. I'm not a massive fan of the studio paint scheme. I don't know why they put him in his kind of orange cloth robe thing. I think it doesn't look right compared to the rest of the model. It kind of blends in a lot, but otherwise I think it's a really nice way for them to take things. And obviously, even if you're not going to be using it for Age of Sigmar, great miniature to throw into your old world armies if you want to build up something for that as well. On the other side of things, for the forces of good, the forces of order, we have a miniature finally for Taunus the Redeemed. So anyone who followed the original storyline of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Taunus was actually a Chaos champion under the service of Nurgle. He was a reluctant champion, but a champion nonetheless, who fought for Nurgle back during that period of time. And he was defeated by the Forces of Order and the Celestant Prime during those fights. And Torgal the Despised was hit by Galmaraz, which has the rather awesome ability of being able to send souls back to Azir to be cleansed, as long as you're willing to do so. And so this reluctant champion of chaos is now become Taunus the Redeemed, reborn as a Stormcast Eternal to hopefully go and stick it to his former master. Takes the role of a Knight Azyros, who are the ones that fly around the realms delivering the light of Sigmar to all corners of it. unless you don't want it, in which case they'll beat you up until you take it. That is the Stormcast way. But a really nice model. Can be used to represent Taunus, can also just be used to represent a regular Knight of Zeros, depending on which way you want to go. Very cool model. Nice callback to the original lore of Warhammer Age of Sigmar during the first edition and that battle in Gairan. And nice to see the model back as well, which is really good. So hopefully we'll see a lot more of those original characters returning to the tabletop with newfangled models in new Thunderstrike garb, which is very cool. But yes, very cool. Floating on all
you
the
don't
rocks.
have a big impression on your forehead, Justin. I'm assuming you've not been redeemed via the medium of hammer strike yet.
No, I haven't been smashed in the forehead with the light of, cleansingness.
Just checking.
So which god does Justin follow?
I'm an
Slanesh?
atheist.
I think Slanesh. Yeah, Justin strikes me as a Slanesh. Yeah.
Why?
We know about all the belts and chains in your
Wrong channel for that.
But yes, these two models are going to be an expansion of what's coming out this weekend for pre-order. There's the new launch set, Skaven Tide, which you'll be able to get from us over on store.ontabletop.com.
Yes.
Comes
There is no merch.
Comes with your Stormcast Eternals and your Skaven and all of the bits and pieces to start playing Spearhead mode as well as full-fledged Warhammer Age of Sigmar at the same time. I will say, Spearhead mode, for anyone who's interested in a quick and easy dive into the Mortal Realms, actually did legitimately good. Watched a whole bunch of battle reports from various channels, and seems like a legit way to play the game, not just some kind of weird Combat Patrol amalgamation of the original of the core rules, but not really, and kind of just throwing things in for the sake of it. They really seem to have put a lot of effort into it. Which is obviously good. So if you're somebody who's tempted by Age of Sigmar and just wants to maybe tinker, then, get yourself a Spearhead box and the rules, and away you go. Most of which will be free online, which is always nice. So yes.
I assume you will be diving in on this one, Ben?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Churchill dog. Oh, yes. I have a Stormcast army that needs to be bolstered. So, yes. The Anvils of the Heldenhammer will be kicking ass and taking names. So, yeah.
Increase the pile of shame.
Yes. Yeah.
The pillar
he says
of
as he looks over the fire
pride.
stairs on his desk. But there we go. No.
Say nothing, act casual. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to take a swish and come back and round out the show. All right, the first thing we have to look at before we leave you for another week is some 3D printing. Ben's been out playing in the field.
I have gallivanting with gnomes and all sorts of other things. This may have been inspired potentially by my holiday where I've been away in the woods and things, but I came across the person we're going to be talking about, Tine Fielding, as part of the Jugs podcast, which I know sounds weird, but if you've not watched it, definitely go and watch that podcast. But she was on recently with the rest of the hosts to talk about her work. So Tine Fielding does stuff that is very in keeping with the likes of Moonstone and Turnip 28 and all of those kind of like little indie creations that are out there in the world.
Oh,
Tina's very much a fan of the little guys and small dudes. And that's very much the focus of the sculpting that she's worked on over the last little while. A lot of the miniatures that she's come up with are very much focused on stuff that she wanted to bring into D&D games or just role-playing in general, but couldn't find online. And she's designed her own world, which is called the Hazelands, and it's kind of a fae universe which sits alongside ours and is just in the corner or behind the tree or in the shadows. And so lots of her creations are themed on that, as well as things like drawing inspiration from the likes of Labyrinth and stuff. So there's definitely a lot of that sort of Frau influence in there as well. And is also a self-taught sculptor. So did a little bit of 3D design back in the day, apparently. And so now has dived into it to create miniatures that she wants to use in her games. And as you can see, they are absolutely adorable and look amazing.
That's a chunky little fledgling.
Yeah, so there's There's gnomes. There's like little fey hobgoblins on pirate ships. If anyone was at Salute this year, she entered the model making crafting competition that they'd held as part of the Hobby Heroes panels, and designed like a big walking ship on baby legs because of course. But I love all of her miniatures because they have this really wonderful sense of whimsy to them, which I think is glorious.
I like the fact it's not a hook, it's a fork.
It's a fork, and he's got a swordfish.
Look at the three little tines on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his almost edible hat.
Yes. It's like a seafood platter, which is great. But yeah, so there's loads of little tiny dudes, little tiny guys that have popped up as part of this collection for you to use in your games. As I say, I think one of it's good. I love that there's like little tiny fish on the end of the oar as well.
Fish on the oars, yeah.
Yeah. As I say, there's no real game behind any of this. The whole idea is that it was sculpted just to kind of fill a gap in the collection that Fielding had. But
a pirate potato.
Yeah.
No, it's a golden egg.
Oh, it's always it might be the golden walking egg that pops up in some of the lore and stuff that she's developed for the Hazeland and things. But so all of these miniatures could effectively just be used for whatever you've got to play. So if you wanted to create alternative, quirky Frostgrave warbands, or you were playing Turnip 28, or you wanted to throw them in simply as an addition to what exists in Moonstone, just to kind of weird it up a little bit more and play around it. These are also, I think, a really good addition to what exists from the likes of Northumbrian Tin Soldier. So if you love the stuff that they've done for their kind of weird, quirky Fey realm, I think these are a really good match. Or maybe stuff from statuesque miniatures and all that kind of stuff as well.
Why the fish? Or what?
It's mermaid.
Tiny little dudes. Just tiny little dudes.
The Fisher King.
Yeah. The other thing, this is one of the nice things that Tina's done with the collection as well, is that while there are no rules for anything that she's built, she creates those little tiny cards that give you an impression of how the model works. So, or how she imagines they work. So if you read that, you get a little bit of their backstory, and then you use the kind of stats and things she's put at the bottom to then work out where they'd fit into your games. So maybe they have like a great degree of strength or something, or honor. Well, then you tie that into the stats that you might use for your whatever game you're playing.
It's quite
nice.
I still want to put these in Forbidden Psalms.
Yes. How cool would that be? That'd be so good.
Would be terrifying. That'd be more terrifying than the terrifying things that come out.
It would. Yeah.
There's one I wanted to see, Jerry, the Marshland Spirits, just at some point, please.
There's also
a possibility.
A lot of what you see here as well. It's obviously really nice to see. Obviously, you get the digital renders, but you also get to see the painted versions of them that Tina's worked on. But she also has a YouTube channel where she does a lot of work, which we'll look at later, where a lot of these models pop up. So if you like the look of these and you want to see how she's incorporated them into things, you'll be able to find out what she's done with them and the story she tells around them. Like the little gnome that we looked at first off, her video of that is her going out into like a country park and looking for gnomes. So she goes and finds like pipes and things hidden in trees and gets attacked by a gnome behind a tree and stuff like that. So it's very cute, very whimsical, and a really nice little sort of like background to the miniatures that are created as well.
This is a little confusing.
I love it. It's so good.
These are great. These are absolutely cracking.
Oh no, I'm not saying they're not great. They're just a little confusing as going, what in the hell is that?
There's another game that we have definitely looked at. Is it by Oakbound Studios?
The Woods.
The Woods. These are perfect for that as well.
Yes.
As long as like the stuff from, you get a lot of stuff from Fenris, which is very much in this vibe. Ramshackle also do some really good stuff.
Spunky the Snail.
With this.
Patrick, is it? No, it's not Patrick. Forget the name.
I walk in our park here, the castle grounds, every day. Go down, feed the squirrels, that sort of thing. And there's a bit where they have a load of fairy houses and stuff built into the side of trees. And the idea of just getting some of these and picking them up and putting them at the doors and things.
Yeah.
Really freak out the kids.
Right in there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what kids are for.
Or spread joy and wonder.
Yeah, also that.
Jerry just goes down every night, changes their position a little bit so the kids actually think they're alive.
Yeah. But I think these are just, it's really nice to see somebody who's entirely self-taught, wanted to just create miniatures to fill a gap.
Yes,
he is. Wanted to fill a gap in their collection, and then has just created this wonderful little range for people to come and pick up. So some of the stuff is you have to pay for. So you pay for them and you get the STL files. But then there's also a degree of them that are just completely free. So if you want to see the miniatures for yourself and just print them off without having to pay anything for the moment, you can go and test them out and see what you think of them. And then maybe from that point, come back and buy some of the bundles and stuff from Tina as well.
Remove that.
Very must be hard up when she's bringing the implements to rip children's teeth out.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's why you should never sleep with your head under the pillow. Because by law, they have to harvest the teeth that are under the pillow.
Yeah.
So you only make that mistake once, then people call you Gummy.
Have you ever wondered why there's a cold side of the pillow? It's because the Fae have been there.
I see. It reminds me of one of my nephews. One time he wanted to get money off the tooth fairy, but he hadn't lost any teeth. But the dog had lost a tooth, so he put the dog's tooth under the pillow.
As you do.
Clever.
Yeah. But yeah, so that little set at the bottom is some of the free stuff. If you're interested, go and check it out for yourself. I love the dragons. Gorgeous. Was designed for a labyrinth board that she made. So one of the inspirations for a lot of these miniatures was she wanted to build a one-shot labyrinth table, which you can actually go and see the build video of over on her YouTube channel. But in that, she builds like this gorgeous style labyrinth, which is great. But it's all about getting the egg of time from the center. And the actual egg of time is an egg timer that she's like built dragon scales on. And it actually ticks down over an hour. So they have an hour to try and get to the middle whilst she distracts them, which I think is amazing. And I believe you can actually go and get that adventure from her Patreon as well, which is really cool.
Creatures.
Yeah. I know she's done some collaborations with a lot of other creators. So if you're somebody who likes like the work of Miscast and people like that, you can go and find some really fun stuff based on those minds coming together, which is really nice. But yes, it's just cute and amazing and whimsical and very different, and definitely something you should go and check out, I think, in more detail.
There's that egg again.
Yes.
This time
it has escaped the golden goose, though.
It has.
Run.
Yeah.
So that's her My Mini Factory page. That's the set of free models, which includes that creepy winged mouse tooth fairy.
And that lovely piece of terrain.
Which I suggest you remove the tooth and put a child's real tooth in there just to add the authenticity of it all, which is always good.
It's a good way of demonstrating a love for your children. Look, I've immortalized it forever in my miniatures.
Yeah.
So there's also the Patreon page.
Patreon.
Some miniatures appear on Patreon that don't appear in the My Mini Factory page. And also you get these really nice background information on not just her sculpts and what she's worked on, but also a lot of her work on her sort of D&D world. So the Hazelands, which is what I was talking about earlier. So if you want to find a little bit of lore about that, she's starting to write that down. Because I know that during the recent Jugs podcast, she was talking about the fact that she doesn't necessarily have it all written down. It's kind of just like in her head and it exists within the real world.
It's there, but be lucky.
That's a question for the ages.
Yeah.
What class would you have a rabbit as?
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a really cool little Patreon, which is definitely worth going to check out. Yes.
Whoopee. And also
then the YouTube channel.
The YouTubes. You too can see Poopy Bats.
If we want to go and see how miniatures were built and everything else, go and check this out and see what you think.
Sweet.
That's cool.
Sweet, like candy is sweet.
Been making videos
like
for about a year, so doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Definitely go and
Cracking
subscribe.
stuff. Well done, Ben.
Leave us something
That was
It's like an
practically
indie-
indie-esque.
I
Yeah.
was going to say it's an indie whilst also being 3D printed.
How weird is that? I picked an indie that was closer to 3D printing, and you picked a 3D print that was closer to an indie.
Well, eventually they will just amalgamate and merge.
Yes.
We are
3D printing is the indie. Yeah.
not in my lifetime, but still.
India is the shiz.
Indie is the
Right.
shit. Yeah.
We have a couple of Kickstarters to take a look at.
Mm.
The first of which is something fun from Olmec that we looked at teasily Lily a few weeks ago. As the Drowned Earth is getting some new big boys.
Mm-hmm.
Hecking chonkers, as I believe you kids call them.
Yeah.
Ah.
Chunguses.
Does any of that make sense? No. Did I use that right?
As of you watching this will be live right now. So the Drowned Earth Into the Wilds is up from the folks at Olmec Games, and this is their adventures beyond the bounds of just your regular little skirmishes to something a little bit bigger, but also a great opportunity for people to dive in and start playing the game for the first time. The main thrust of the campaign is based around new HQ models. So each of the factions has got access to new big guys, as Jerry was alluding to. And they all come with bonus mechanics and abilities that feed into your faction and help them do what they already do, but better. So, for example, the Artifactors have Bertha and Jax, which is great for looting artifacts. That's why it's got a nice little crane on the back of it. And also
good.
that Parasaur is good at headbutting. So keeping you safe while you're doing your excavations, which is always nice to see.
I think this next one is my favorite.
Yes, the Firm have Oni and Mishuga. And this is actually like a traveling medics. So it goes around and sort of looks after you and keeps you well. But
so when he fails, the gator cleans up.
Yes. So the gator is also there to potentially keep away your enemies, but also is a potential malpractice suit in waiting.
It should be named Morg.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Morgan Mishuga, yeah. For the militia, you've got the Growler and Pontius. So if you're into your sort of dino hunting and all that kind of stuff, you've got that kind of cool, almost Jurassic World style vehicle hoving around. Also amphibious, so can sort of go down into the water and sort of burst through stuff as well before
I do
herring
like
off.
the fact that they've got a kill strapped around the front of the bonnet.
Clearly lunch.
It's very Dinosaur Hunters, isn't it, on the front, which I think is quite cool. And also something a little bit different from the other stuff. So a lot of the other ones are kind of based around the idea of dinosaurs and stuff, but obviously the militia have a little bit more of that kind of high-tech feel to them, which is good. The Bondsmen have Cage and Jensen. So this is an angry Stegosaurus. And as you will note, there are cages on the side of it because all of their willing travel companions have been locked up in those cages so they can be transported around, which I think is quite nice. And also I love the idea that Jensen, the little tiny chameleon, is like on the back, and Cage probably doesn't realize that he's there, but he's kind of slowly being guided around. And I like the idea of you painting Jensen camouflaged to him, so he kind of merges into it, which I think would be really fun. But a really nice model. And then the Corsairs have possibly my favorite, which is Crash and Zack. And so this is a big floating pirate vessel
pirate ship
for you to use in your game, which I think is really cool.
It's a hell of a broadside.
It is. Laden down with guns. So yes, all of these are going to be available for you to add into the game. They're all going to be in the resin that they always use for their miniatures. It's all 32mm scale. But one of the most important things is that obviously this is great for people who have played the Drowned Earth already and want to dive in and just get some big new models to add into the mix. But if you're somebody who's starting out, this is also a really great opportunity for you to get going in the game, because they're doing discounted starter bundles for newcomers, where you can either dive in just for as one player and just get one faction plus the HQ model and the rules and everything else. Or if you want to share the pledge with a friend, potentially, you can go in and get yourself the 2-player pledge, which gets you 2 of the squads or two factions alongside their relevant HQ models as well. So you can play around with it on that front. And of course, one of the nice things about the Drowned Earth, and something we talked about during the preview as well, is that you can dive into it in a variety of different ways. So you can do it in a sort of competitive style, or you can go and explore the rest of the world with like Raptorclaw Island and stuff like that, and play it with solo or cooperative, which is really nice. So yes, really fun stuff there for the Drowned Earth with big new models, but also great options for newcomers at the same time. So
yeah. Cracking stuff. Really like to see more from Olmec and the Drowned Earth, because it's one of those games we've talked about in the past. It probably doesn't get the recognition and plaudits that it deserves. Obviously, the fan base absolutely love it to bits. It's not front and center in a lot of people's minds. So
I'd like to get
massive dinos will help that.
Yeah. I'd like to get James back over to come and sit down with us and play through some games of it, especially with the new HQ models and stuff. That could be really fun.
Yeah.
I know. He's eager to get more people playing his game. So
yeah, I imagine those will be. I didn't see whether it said what material they're going to be made out of, but I know some of the larger dinos are now like a COcast type of stuff.
COcasty. Oh right,
yeah. So
I know they've done that for some of their like Utahraptors and stuff, haven't they? And stuff.
Yes, yeah. Because some of the bigger ones I have are that they're not a 2-part resin. They're
right.
Injected type of plastic instead. So good level of detail on them, but also more robust. And if you're going to be getting something as big as that, I imagine they'll probably look to blend, because they've had metal bits and pieces as well. So
they have,
I think they'll probably be hybrid models. You might get details in another form of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
go and chat with Olmec Games. I'm sure they'll let you know for sure.
Yeah, we should do that. Set that up for me. Every one of you is my secretary. Pun dancer. Okay. Set that up for me. That's what he's there for.
You have been voluntold.
He knows. He knows what the crack is. We have another Kickstarter to take a look at before we go. And this is The Siege of Gradara from Force of Virtue and Masterstroke Games. And this is a epic, shall we say, encounter from the guys at Masterstroke. We seen it. Oh Lord, did we see it at Salute, because James from Oshiro had built Gradara Castle itself, specifically for the mayor of whatever city Gradara Castle was in. It may just be Gradara itself. I'm not sure. But
I think it is, yeah.
But absolutely put on a massive display game across a table that was somewhere in the region of, I'm going to say 8 foot wide and about 12 deep. That all came apart sectionally. And at the time they were telling us, there's me. Hello, me. At the time they were telling us,
hey, Gary, you made it end.
That they'd actually had to bring the siege rules forward because they'd planned to do another book first. But then because they wanted Gradara to be at Salute, that they were going to pluck those rules and push that to the front in the queue. So it's an interesting style of game that is banks into the fact that the two brothers who designed it are big into their historical martial arts, so they're Heimer fighters and their actual medieval gameplay. They want the game to be as accurate to the style of combat at the time that it can be, but at the same time they didn't want to bog things down with complicated list building. So it plays very quickly with a handful of models aside up to sort of larger amounts, but it's all card driven. And you'll see in here that there are nation decks of about 55 cards. When you play to a card allowance. So we might play a 10 card game, and in that you'll pluck out characters or upgrades or units to 10 cards. There's no points or anything else. You need characters to control the units. And if you don't have them, then they suffer badly and will eventually run away because there's nobody telling them what to do or where they should be going, and people are shooting at them.
Yeah, and they're not getting paid enough for this.
But also when you play a campaign game, then it's a way to level things. So if somebody gets ahead in the campaign and have access to new cards, then your opponent can pick a couple of cards to bring them level, and they maybe they don't take units, but they may take things like weather conditions to best advantage them. If you're using a lot of black powder, and then they all of a sudden go, well, you know what? Actually, it's bucketing down today, and none of your powder's working. So the list building system is very interesting. The actual way that the cards sort of come together as well is fascinating, because you have the virtues in the game which play into your dice rolls, and your characters generate different amounts of them. You can also upgrade them. So maybe you take a card to give them more virtue points, and virtue points in different colors will give you different benefits, but also different critical failures. So if you don't succeed on a test, you may find that you do something terrible, like run away. However, if you were going for a very aggressive, antagonistic role and you fail, you may find that they actually run screaming towards the enemy. So you're going, well, I want to use the I want to use the aggressive virtue for this dice roll, because if I fail, I still go forward, and I need to go forward. Whereas another time you go, well, I'll go for something less audacious and more, maybe you wouldn't use the red dice that will fail and run you forward on your archers, for example. That would be a bad thing. So this campaign is to sort of relaunch the rules with the campaign and siege rules in there. So there's new card decks. There's also, as you can see, some STL files for the actual people who were there at Gradara. So the history is they're very keen on the history and the era in which it takes place. So you will see the dashing cavalryman Sigismondo Malatesta. And the guys, when we were talking
Such
to
good
them,
names.
when we were talking to them at Salute, they know the history so in depth. But like I say, this expansion, if you've already got bits and pieces from it, then you can just pick it up to get your new siege cavalry rules and the campaign system itself. And again, there's the decks of cards in here. So when you're putting together your army, your list, you may take some cards that maybe help starve your opponent out. Or maybe you've taken some cards that will help you with tunnelers or sappers or those type of things. So less foot sloggers on the tabletop, because you've paid to recruit more specific engineers to help you bring down the walls. All of these little things, so you can really tailor your force in interesting and unique ways as well. And then if you haven't already picked it up, you can get the actual core set itself. So the rulebook. And then this little chart, which has the different virtue types on it and tells you, essentially, it's your quick reference for how you're spending your virtue tokens when you're playing your game, and what way they will either help or hinder you, because movement, shooting, combat, they all come down to it. And the game has a lot of back and forth where you may end up spending your unit's dice that they generate on your attacks, or you might save some because you know that your opponent is going to be coming towards you, and then you can use them for your defense instead. So there's a lot of interesting possibilities whenever you're playing, that it's not just a straight, I'm going to roll D6 and ... It's, do I want to go all out attack now, or perhaps I'm better off being a bit more defensive and cautious, and therefore I can push the counter with some additional fellows afterwards.
I quite like.
Sorry,
no, it's okay.
I was just going to say, as you can see here, there's the different nation decks and the like that allow you to build all your lists.
I quite liked what they said about sort of like the game in general as well, because it only plays on quite a small board, doesn't it? It's like 2x2 if you really want to, and it goes like properly to nitty gritty skirmish game where you could even just have one character as part of like a story based scenario if you wanted to, against like a group of them or something. And then once you're experienced enough with the rules, I think it only takes between like half an hour and an hour to play a game, which I think is really cool, depending on what you're doing, I suppose. But
I do like the idea that it's not always just about murder in this particular game, though, because there was one game Jerry played where it was literally you need to go and get information from the locals.
Which is very cool, and sort of builds into that idea of it being a campaign game and everything as well. telling a story as much as it being just a slog, as you say, Justin. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about narrative, and there were that many conflicts in that era and that many sort of standout people, the characters, the likes of the Borgias and stuff who were...
plenty of backstabbing.
all the backstabbing. But it means that you have real world historical figures who were, to a greater extent, larger than life. You know, when you hear some of what they got up to, it's absolutely insane. And I really enjoy the system for just the command and control and the choices you have to make constantly when you're playing. And you can literally play a campaign in a day because it plays so quickly. You just go, well, we'll play game 1, game 2, game 3. And as you go, you're rebuilding your list from the cards in your deck, or the scenario cards, or the campaign cards that you can add in depending on whether you've won or lost. And it opens up possibilities to have a 6-game narrative campaign, but played out in 5-6 hours, you know, in an afternoon. Where sometimes when you were looking to play a narrative campaign, you're going, well, the first game will take us half an hour because it's a scouting game, and then the next game will take us 3 hours because it's you know, a mass battle game, whatever it happens to be. But by sort of having these sort of compacted small skirmishes, it's really fascinating. And the siege rules look absolutely beautiful as well. Say that Gradara castle stuff they had was stonking.
It was fabulous.
The siege campaign rules they've designed as well are system agnostic. So even if you don't want to use them or if you buy them for Force of Virtue, but then you also play a different game that requires you to have a siege, you can just use their campaign rules to play that out. So they do make a point of being like, if you're playing, you know, with elves and goblins or whatever, and you're doing, I don't know, Oathmark games or something like that, and you want some really cool siege campaign rules, use those.
I mean, siege is a siege, no matter what way you look at it.
Yeah, everyone needs supplies. Yeah.
Yes. Supplies. But yeah, absolutely cracking stuff. There are a couple of games up already on the site.
There are two games up
so far. Yeah.
The third one might even go out next week. Who can say?
Possibly.
Time will tell.
As long as I haven't lost it.
But yeah, keep your eye out for that. There's 31 days left. It's already funded. So if you fancy getting into medieval skirmishes, it's an absolute gem, and really fascinating as to how they've gone about tailoring it as well. And you can always have a listen to the interview I did with the brothers talking about the rule system itself and their plans for the future as well, because it's not going to be limited just to medieval warfare on the continent. There may be plans closer to home in the future. So
very nice.
Very nice.
Corking. Right. That wraps us up for another week. We're going to sod off, rest, relax, and get ready for Sunday morning when we do it all over again over on tabletop.com for the XLBS, where if you're not a cultist, you can join us. Join us. Join us.
One of us.
As we talk hobby, ours and yours, in a more relaxed fashion, and I don't have to open any windows. So that's always good. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.